You been working out?
Yeah. Yeah, coach. Running
okay.
suicides, yep.
Well, I know this guy has. And BD, just take the highlight, man. It's for PG.
Too cool. PG, dippity do, and one, thank you. On the ISO, somebody on the island by itself, excuse me, while I lay this on the reverse side. Yeah, look
Please
at my
describe
hand.
this shot for
And
me.
then please have another one of these.
Oh, Isaac.
Oh,
No.
that's like I call that a snow cone floater.
Snow cone floater. What do you call this step right there?
I call that the Afro beating Euro.
Oh, that's
I call
like the
that-
congas
I
and the
call that
congas
Afro step.
with the-
Yeah, I call that the
okay.
Afro beating.
Here you go, show it to him again. Show it to him again.
So, how you doing? Oh, okay. And you know Russell Westbrook, he's Mr. Triple-Double, and he can't do that without passing to somebody. So, young fella, go get it for him. Amadou Diallo taking advantage of the back door cut, 83-73. Now, Vucevic, he's going to get inside, and if you can't dunk it, try to dunk it and get some good luck in there. Jerian Grant takes it to the hole.
Son of Harvey.
Oh, yeah, and the nephew of Horace. Oh, there we go. I hope we're right and didn't get them mixed up. How about this? Schroeder, OKC down 3. Schroeder hits the big shot. Russell Westbrook. Coast.
How do you guard that? in
Not the
transition?
ball.
Stop. How do you stop Russell Westbrook in transition, Shaq?
Foul.
You fouling?
You don't.
Hey, George, how about George? The Thunder on a 10-0 run. Schroeder, he's getting his man at OKC. He had 18 in the fourth. You want to see 3 of them?
Nice.
He watched it go. Man. And how about
Sauce and Annie, BD.
Yeah, I like this team, man, because they got a lot of that attitude, sauce. They talk trash, and pretty much the whole team is athletic. They're athletic at each and every position.
how about Westbrook? His fourth straight triple-double.
Straight.
Check. I love Westbrook's game, but I hate how he averages more rebounds than some 7-footers out there. That really makes me mad as a big fella.
I mean, listen, he plays with that monster attitude. And the first couple of years we talked about him trying to score. We wanted him to change his game. He's definitely changed his game, but this is how he plays.
Oh, no, he can go. I just wish some big fellas would go in there and rebound. Quit letting the little fella take all the rebounds.
Crucial conflict.
What's up, old dog?
Crucial conflict.
What you say about my mama?
Get up! Oh!
What you say about my mama?
Yeah, Zach LaVine. He said, I'll dunk on you and I'll
He's
step
been having a
out.
great year.
Oh, man.
Shout out to Zach LaVine.
Yeah, coming back off that injury. 49-42 Chicago. How about Shaq? Napier.
Nice.
Yeah, he says, take that. He goes into halftime, Chicago up 4. How about this, Lloyd Marketing? That's
like
why I
it.
like his. Yeah, I love his game. He'll
I
step
like
up,
this
shoot
kid.
3, dunk on you. But D'Angelo Russell, I mean,
L-Dog.
he's left La La Land. We thought we were gonna forget about him, but he's making people remember why he was such a high pick. He has game.
Yeah, I mean, he's in his third, maybe fourth year. He's starting to get comfortable.
Oh,
Anytime
dog.
you're a point guard, you gotta have a little bit more patience.
Ooh,
And I think D'Angelo
Okay.
Russell has proven like we need to-
Get a man some minutes.
You know? Oh, that's right. This is your team, Chicago, huh? Is that right? Or I really can't say that's your
Listen,
team?
I am a Chicago fan, so Bears, Bulls, Cubs.
So what are y'all doing as you see the end of the layup? Are y'all gonna tank the season? Y'all in the Zion?
I'm trying to understand.
Vic, what
what's going on
is
with
Chicago? What are y'all doing?
Well, we're in a rebuilding phase right now.
But y'all
that
have
what
been
it's
since Jordan left.
You mean
We're
a tanking
still
phase? A
looking
tanking
up.
phase or a rebuilding phase?
Both.
Since Jordan left.
Both.
What
Yeah,
year
I
Jordan
like
retired?
Levine. We're gonna build
You
around
got good
Levine.
young pieces.
Jordan
What are you doing?
90?
No.
What Jordan retired? 90-something?
That's what we're doing, C-Web?
I'm just saying.
talk about
I mean,
your Detroit
I really
Lions?
don't care if
You
the
wanna go
Bulls
there?
ever
You
win.
wanna talk about
y'all
the
had
Lions?
Jordan all them years.
Okay.
Ooh, that's like the Lakers. Y'all had Kobe, Shaq, Magic, like all these teams with all this.
Luka.
Doncic, Ben Simmons. Oh, there's your man, Lloyd Marketing.
There we go.
There you
Represent
go.
the Bulls.
That's it.
I like
Represent
it.
that tanking.
I
Who's
like
CD?
this kid Shy from the Clippers too. He nice.
Underdog, how do I pronounce that name? He don't know either. Thanks, Underdog. You supposed to help us out on
Rodions.
Players Only, man.
Rodions Karuch.
Well, the U.S.
Yeah,
team
Shaq,
got
you
easy
Mr.
names.
International. Say
Tatum.
every name.
De'Aaron
Represent.
Fox,
De'Aaron Fox
my
having
boy
a-
Donovan Mitchell out in Utah.
De'Aaron Fox having an amazing second year.
Shout out to Trey Young, had a great game last night. Young Bagley. That's okay, Shaq.
Hell, anybody, we got somebody choke. Hello, let me do the hot
We got CPR on site.
I'm gonna choke me on that ice.
Don't choke him.
Nigga gave me this hard ass ice.
Rodion Caruth.
You don't see me choking, man?
Yeah.
Can I get hit on the back?
C. Webb kept going with the highlights.
All them jokes tonight.
Man, Shaq over here dying. See where reading the highlights.
Oh, and how about this?
Go up, scan up.
From one of
scan
my
up.
favorite college teams
Look at that
ever,
cowboy
the
in the Mining Factory.
UNLV Running Rebels.
What is that, velvet?
Oh, yeah.
Temptations.
David Ruffin biting. Oh, man.
My bad, G.
Hey, what you say look like BD is made out of balloon material?
Yeah, it looked like it did. He went to the store and asked for some balloon. Gotta get some balloon material.
Players only.
Uh-oh.
Playing Shaq choking.
Hey, C. Webb still doing the highlights.
Because I thought he was laughing. TK said the show must go on. He was like, just let the show go. He's like, good TV. He'll choke. He'll be all right.
Help a brother out.
My bad, man. My bad. Players only halftime report presented by American Express. Now, usually we don't come in with highlights of the losing team, but the Lakers have been making a run with a few highlights. Ooh. Oh, yeah.
Don't look at him. Don't you look at him.
No, don't look at him. It's a tech.
Don't look at him.
Don't stand over him. Yeah.
Where's Khalifa looking?
You got beads at the end.
Khalifa.
I see you with the beads.
You
Ebro.
know, welcome to Players Only. I'm Chris Webber. We got Shaq, Candace Parker, and my man BD. So what's going on, guys? When you look at the first half of this game, actually we can look at some of these plays. When you see a young team like the Lakers and they don't have LeBron James there, Candace, and you see the start of a game like this, if you're the coach or a teammate, what do you say to your players and why is this going on?
Well, this looks like a team that hasn't had a ball handler with them. I mean, Rajon Rondo missed time. Lonzo Ball's out with an ankle injury. LeBron's been out for 16 games. So when the head of your offense has been out, you know, you're going to turn the ball over. But they were just giving the ball away.
I'd have to disagree with my good friend Candace. This right here is just a lack of focus because after we get rid of these highlights, we're going to show highlights when they start focusing, they start making the plays.
No, I
we're
agree
all
too.
professional. We all can play. And all coaches say the same thing. You guys are just not, listen, you're playing against the 76ers. LeBron's not out. Some of these guys should be auditioning because when they come back, they're going to have to start tightening it up. A trade might be made. You know, so guys need to start auditioning and playing out. That right there was just a lack of focus. First play of the game, you can't turn it over.
I wanted to say, like, could it be the lack of focus? Could that be because of all the stuff that we're hearing today, right?
Right.
With, you know, the Anthony Davis trade rumors and, you know, them getting off to a slow start. When you have a young team like that, usually they're in their head, right?
Because they think they're going to be traded.
Yeah, it's like you showing up to
And
the
that's
game.
why you're
you know-
supposed to step up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You
you're right.
showing
Yeah,
up-
to show I'm next.
Yeah, you got to step
Now,
up.
that's not the way you start, but I think as they got into the flow, they kind of, you know, when you start playing, you kind of lose that mentality. You got to get back to playing basketball.
But could it also be that the ball's in the wrong people's hands? I mean, you see Josh Hart with the ball in his hands trying to make plays as opposed to, you know, these guys are used to having made finishing plays and not having to make them.
I mean, but they're down, they're playing in L.A., and we all know how the L.A. fans are. They're getting back in the game right there. Mike Penberthy with the two-handed jam.
Doing it on the
They're starting to
defensive
come out,
end.
yeah, and they're a little bit more focused.
Let me ask you
Playing
something,
with great
Shaq.
energy.
Shaq, you played in two cities that were temptations for teammates, and that was Miami and the Lakers. Did the great Lakers team ever say, this team is coming in tonight, or did you say, this team is coming in tonight? I know that they went out last night. We need to start early and get off to a 10-point lead because then they won't come back. Or in Miami, both places
it depends.
temptations for players.
It also depends on your plan. When you're playing against a great team that really has championship aspirations, like you guys never went out. So like we would definitely worry about y'all. But the young teams, we know they was going out. You know how I knew? 'Cause when I went out, I saw. So I knew who was out and who wasn't out. And you know, the Lakers again, they were not mentally ready. And you know, once the crowd started getting into the game and LeBron started talking and you know, making faces and stuff like that, their concentration and their focus was a little bit better, and they're starting to get back in the game. But, you know, Philly cannot lose this game today.
Yeah.
Against the LeBron-less Lakers, you got to get that win.
C. Webb, you're not going to put Cleveland in that mix of
Going out late at
cities?
night?
Nobody went out in
Nah, they
Cleveland?
went to the movies.
Okay, my bad.
Listen,
Coaches love Cleveland.
Confused.
Like, I see at 6 o'clock practice, they're like, all right.
You go out in Cleveland, go right to the airport.
Listen, one time, I was living in Cleveland.
Sorry,
went out
Cleveland.
3 times and
I
I
live
didn't see nothing. They ain't even had no
Hey,
hookah bar.
did you see them midgets? They had things called midgets in
Midgets?
Cleveland.
What's that?
They like a million gnats. It was like a million gnats just hanging on buildings. That was the most interesting thing I seen in Cleveland. Midgets.
He do look like Wiz
Yeah, he
Khalifa,
look like Tiger too.
Tiger with the dunk.
A little bit with him.
He do look like Wiz.
Oh man. We'll be back
Add it up,
more
ain't you,
in a
boy?
minute on the American Express halftime report. We'll tell you who more people look like. We know all their twins.
I never seen you out when these in LA.
Welcome back to Players Only, Mr. Vegas. I hope you are listening, GA. Matter of fact, I know you are. I just want to throw a couple things out to you, GA. Barry Davis.
got a button now.
Hold on, GA.
Oh, we got a button.
Yeah, hold on. Barry Davis said you look like the black man on the penny that got rejected. Barry Davis said you cut your suit coat out of a car of an old pimp Cadillac.
And Candace said you look like a Rick James backup singer. Give it to me, baby. Give it to me, baby.
Hey, Jimmy, why you laughing so hard, Jimmy?
Wait a minute, Candace. I know C. Webb that caught a few comments tonight.
Oh, they've been killing me. That's why I'm glad they killing you, because Candace said
Well,
you trying
we
to join the
good then.
NFL Hall of Fame.
He got that
I
pimp
got my
cushion.
jacket.
He got that pimp cushion jacket on.
Is that velvet?
Hey, you have to have left this to me, and it will.
Golden ticket. Thank you for wearing that outfit, GA. You let me get away with this turtleneck, and I'm hot in the studio.
Hey, GA, don't let him talk you out of that, dog. Bring that one out.
Hold on.
I ain't worried about
This
it.
next time, don't do the red pinstripes
I got
with
a
it.
maroon one next
And wear
week.
that vest. You know it's a vest with that.
I ain't wearing a vest this time. I'm going to have a maroon one
You
next
look like
week.
a gold sugar cane.
James Harden getting him up pregame before he and the Rockets take on the Pelicans. He had 40 in the win over Orlando the other night, which means his January scoring average went down. That's coming up at the top of the hour as the Players Only franchise returns to TNT. Pelicans and Rockets coming up. Grant Hill will be part of that broadcast along with Isaiah Thomas, Jason Terry, and Caron Butler. And as you can see, here he is in the flesh, or at least on TV, joining us from Houston. Grant, there aren't many storylines that can steal the spotlight away from what James Harden has been doing, but this Anthony Davis thing has people talking. What is the ripple effect around the league for you?
Well, Matt, you're right. I mean, James Harden's been great, particularly this last 4 to 6 weeks. But Anthony Davis, the news of his desire to be traded and traded soon from the New Orleans Pelicans is certainly on everyone's mind, particularly here in Houston, as we had a chance to visit with Mike D'Antoni and Alvin Gentry, and just a lot of unknown, a player of his magnitude, the options, what's going to happen moving forward. The Pelicans going to quickly try and do something now prior to the trade deadline, or will they wait until the summer? So just a lot of unknowns right now, but the thing we do know is that obviously he wants out of New Orleans, and the big question is, where will he go? He's the kind of player that can have a huge impact if you depending upon where he goes and who he may or may not partner up with. So a lot of excitement, a lot of intrigue. Certainly something on tonight's broadcast I'm sure we'll talk about quite a bit, but certainly the news of the NBA at this moment.
I imagine you will be discussing that a fair amount. The tentacles of this thing are so far-reaching around the league, including the balance of power in whichever conference he lands in. Meanwhile, Harden's numbers in January are just absurd. And now Chris Paul has returned to the lineup. So in your mind, how close are the Rockets to being where they were last season when they wound up winning 65 games?
It's a great question, Matt. They're closer. I think early in the year, obviously, they're a different team. They weren't as talented. Mike D'Antoni was starting rookies, even guys who were undrafted rookies. So different roles. They were struggling. They managed to sort of maintain their confidence and spirit through that stretch. Chris Paul went down, and James Harden went crazy and obviously has played at an MVP caliber rate. But I think bringing in a Kenneth Faried when Capella went down has been huge. He was kind of on that bench there, lost in Denver. You move him now to the center position. He's one of the best at setting screens and rolling to the basket and plays with a tremendous amount of energy. Austin Rivers has come over, a veteran who is a really good on-the-ball defender. Now you're getting Chris Paul back. Capella's coming back. So I think this team is trending in the right direction. Obviously, you have to give a lot of credit to James Harden, but I think the personnel has gotten better since the team that they had at the start of the season. Harden is in obviously tip-top form and is great shape right now and playing elite basketball. And then you're getting Chris Paul back, which I think will help, because the big question is, can Harden continue at this pace, throughout the entire season into the postseason? They're going to need Chris Paul to be healthy and productive for them to try to have a run like they had last season.
Grant, Capella played such an important part, especially with Harden on the floor. I mean, this guy was 7th in the league in rebounding, 3rd in field goal percent. All these things that he had done, all-star basically performance by Capella. They lose him and bring in a guy who had almost vanished away from the NBA as far as getting minutes on the floor, getting an opportunity to play. What has Mike D'Antoni said about Fareed coming in now and the role he's playing?
Well, Mike D'Antoni, I played for Mike D'Antoni, Dave Griffin, obviously. We were all out there in Phoenix together. He always used to say that the ball finds energy. And there may not be a big guy in the league that has the kind of energy that a Kenneth Fareed. I think in Denver, obviously he became the manimal. He played at an elite level, was on the Olympic team at one point, or the U.S. World Championship basketball team. And then Jokic came in, and all of a sudden fours are expected to be able to shoot from the perimeter. That wasn't his game, but it was the perfect timing. There was a void here, Capella being out. He's come in, playing more of the 5 position, setting screens, rolling to the basket, finishing. When Capella was out for that 10-game stretch, they weren't getting baskets at the rim. They were shooting even more three-pointers with a P.J. Tucker at the center position. But Fareed now sort of plays that diver role, and he dives so hard that you have to really, defensively guarding Houston, you have to make an adjustment. You have to make the proper read. And so now getting back to that basketball that they're accustomed to playing. And Fareed, when Capella comes back, now you have 2 bigs who can come in and play and give you different looks both on offense and on defense. And then, of course, Chris Paul getting back in the mix. So this team, like I said, is moving in the right direction. But Fareed has been huge, and certainly Mike D'Antoni has been very happy.
Grant, one of the things I think that gets lost in all of this Anthony Davis talk is exactly how good Jrue Holiday's been this season and the burden he's been carrying. He's had to play 9 games without AD as it is, and he's probably been their most consistent player. What does Alvin say about Jrue and the season he's had and where they go from here?
Yeah, Dave, we talked about Jrue with Alvin. He just said he's been solid, he's been consistent. Nothing phases him. He'll come out and be a professional, play at a high level. And you're right, with all the talk this year of Anthony Davis and what's his future, and obviously the news here in the last 48 hours, Jrue Holiday is putting up all-star numbers, and 20 points, 8 assists. Obviously would be in the all-star game if New Orleans was in the playoff picture. But quietly under the radar, just going about his business, playing great. And, it's interesting. One of the things we talked about, and certainly Jrue Holiday plays a role, but we talked about this with Alvin. When they've had all their guys healthy, all the guys that played in their, top 7, 8-man rotation, they've been 7-3 this year. And they just, the injuries and AD being out, Mirotic, at times Randall was out, Peyton was out for 31 games early in the year. This team doesn't have great depth, and not having these guys healthy has really hurt them, and you never really got a chance to see what this team could do after the success of last season in the postseason. So, but Jrue Holiday, he has been a mainstay, and he's been someone who, even against Houston, he's guarded James Harden well. The games they played prior, he's, been able to, really keep him off the three-point line, not foul him, make him a 2-point shooter. And if you look at the numbers, he's actually done a pretty good job head-to-head, and I imagine we'll get a lot of that tonight.
Injuries a factor again tonight for the Pelicans. Julius Randle is out. Etuan Moore is going to rest tonight. Elfrid Payton also out with the ankle injury, in addition, of course, to Anthony Davis. Grant Hill, though, fit as a fiddle and ready to broadcast at the top of the hour. Players only tonight. It's the Pelicans and the Rockets. We'll see you then.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Much more coming up here on Game Time between now and the start of that game. The Anthony Davis story is of some interest to the folks in Los Angeles. We'll get the perspective from out there when we come back.